welcome back to the Fraudcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Today we are back with our Sister Wives coverage, and today is season 17, episode 3. And back with me again is Lexi.
Hi, everyone, again.
And if you did not listen to the episode 2 recap, Lexi is friend of mine that I met through Danielle of 90 Day fame. She was on The Single Life, and she has a couple of girlfriends that also appeared on the show with her. And Lexi is one of those girlfriends, and she lives local to me in the area. So we've hung out a few times. And I always have to give a shout out to my spirit animal, Kaya. Her daughter, Alexi's little daughter, is so cute. Also, just for funsies, Lexi's about to be a doctor of Oriental medicine. She can stick needles in all your ears. And I cannot wait for that to happen so that I can go get some treatments.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're discussing Sister Wives, and we just did episode 2. Now we're going to do episode 3. And now, just by way of background, during COVID, during pandemic, Lexi got COVID. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And while she was down with the Rona, she binge watched the entire series of Sister Wives, all 16 seasons. So talk about some dedication to your craft, right? Like, so when Hanakawa got sick and couldn't record because she has no voice, just nebulizers, all this stuff, it's not the Rona, she says. I reached out to Lexi because who wouldn't want somebody with this kind of dedication to the show? So here we are, episode 3. It's called Labors of Life. So we open the show in St. George, Utah at McKelty's place. Christine is there because she's on baby watch. McKelty's about to have a baby, and she talks about how it's her and Cody's anniversary, but she doesn't care. She doesn't consider herself married. They had a spiritual marriage, not a legal one anyway. So like, when are you divorced? You know? And she's like, I don't consider myself married anymore. And then they have a conversation. Should we post this on social media? No, Christine says no. And then Cody takes that as a sign that it's serious. What? Because she doesn't want to post it on social media? That means she's serious? None of the rest of this?
Oh my God.
When she packed up his boxes, put him in the garage and told him get the fuck out. That wasn't serious.
What did he say? He said maybe she needs time to think and process. Like, if I'm packing up boxes, you're gone. Like, bye.
Get out. Then she calls her wedding rings a noose and said that was so good to take them off. And I'm like, sister, I've been there. I get it. I'm divorced. I get it. Mm-hmm. Then we talk about how intimacy is more than just like sex, right? And which I'm glad that they point that out, because they keep talking about an intimate marriage, right? And in that context, they're very clearly talking about sexless marriages, right? Like not having sex in a marriage. But then now they're talking about intimacy being more than just that, which, you know, I know this, you know this, the American people know this, right?
Right.
We all know that intimacy is more than just the actual like sex part. And she's saying that's, you know, has been missing in addition to the sex part. So, you know, thanks for clearing that right up, Brown.
Yeah.
Cody says he got angry about her backing away and that maybe he shouldn't have done it. Like, maybe he shouldn't have gotten angry at her expressing her autonomy and going, fuck you.
Right.
Like, peace out. Like,
well, and he talked about, you know, sexless marriage is common with some of his friends that he knows. Well, you're still getting sex, Cody. You're still getting intimacy. She's not. You're getting it from someone else. How is that fair? How is that fair?
So he knows other dudes, polygamous dudes, who are not having sex with at least one or maybe more wives.
Right.
You're right. They're still getting laid.
Exactly. Heaven forbid somebody else have sex with another man, though, because like when Mary mentioned that, it made him feel disgusted.
Did you know that Mary was catfished?
Yes, I did hear that. After I binge watched the entire series, I started using
how she, I mean, they I think this is the first season we haven't heard about her catfishing every single fucking episode. But yeah, I mean, you can't blame when he's talking about the lack of, they're all talking about this, right? And now, interesting, it just occurred to me looking back on the, I mean, okay, the catfishing, and digress a little bit, go back to those seasons where she was catfished, right? All of the fallout, and the next 18 million seasons were dedicated to this whole issue and how she, at least she was getting attention and feeling loved and all this stuff from this other person, right? And that's why she did it, why it happened for her. Ask anybody who's been catfished or even not catfished, just quote unquote fallen in love with someone online that they've never met. We see it all the time on fucking all of our other trash shows that we watch, right? That people fall, they and whatever, and so they feel loved, they feel connected, they feel all these things, and the more we hear about in these later episodes in this new season about how bad all of the marriages except Robin's were prior to this, it's no surprise. It just confirms what we knew, is that she wasn't getting the attention and love from Cody, which then, she experiences that, right? So she experiences what it's like to be loved and wanted, even if it was a catfish and if it was fake. There are real people who should treat you that way. You should meet a real person who really loves you and all of that, right? But after that, he shames her for the whole catfishing scenario. Now she won't believe, even now that spark is gone from her eyes that you're talking about, that you were talking about last episode.
And my heart went out to her. I mean, I see why she did it. I mean, I would never sit there and defend somebody for cheating, even though it wasn't, that's, debatable whether or not she cheated. Right. That's neither here nor there. But obviously, like you said, she was missing something. She was not getting something. And so she found something else. And when you do a show like this and you've got weird random people messaging you, and I don't remember how the catfish happened, but I know that like Danielle gets a lot of messages. We get messages. At any point, anybody can be catfish, and obviously it was easy bait. She just was lonely, and
you're lonely and you're vulnerable, and you're gonna, and that's what you want. Like, why wouldn't you fall for that? I can't blame anybody for falling for that. My question would be, why wouldn't how couldn't you? You know what I mean? Like,
I just don't know why she's staying now. I know this is a little off topic,
that's the thing, right?
I've seen like comments online saying like she's in it for the TLC money. Listen, I don't know how much they're getting paid, but I can tell you right now, I would assume it's not enough to stay. And even if it was, she could still leave and do a Christine and be successful on her own. But I don't see TLC money being the reason why she's staying. I really don't.
No, her issue is much more like deep and sinister, and I say sinister, I don't mean in like the spooky sinister way. I mean like, it's much more like raw and vulnerable and icky. Like, the reason why she stays, it's like she experienced what this is like to have somebody doting on her, right? She could go out, she could leave Cody, since Cody wants nothing to, Cody wasn't wanting anything to do with her at that time anyway, which is why this catfishing thing happened to begin with, right? So she gets this experience, and then she tells everybody, and this whole thing blows up, and he shames her for it. And instead of, she had a like a choice point, like an inflection point or whatever. This was a choose your own adventure book. This would be like the question at the end, right? Where if you want to do this, turn to this page. If you want to do this, turn to this page. She could have left at that point because she had a taste of what it could have been like and left and go out and find it. Instead, she allowed herself to be shamed. I know that makes it sound like I'm blaming her, but I kind of do blame her in some regards. So she chose to stay. She believed Cody's bullshit, shaming her for this catfish thing. And now not only is she shamed from going out and, seeking out somebody who actually loves her. So she's stuck in where she's at, but she also is in a marriage where he doesn't like her and doesn't want anything to do with her.
They don't spend any time together, I don't think either, right? Like he's not going to her house.
No, she lives alone. That's why she's Milton in the basement from Office Space.
Yeah.
She's there. She's part of the company, allegedly. She's still getting a paycheck somehow.
Yeah.
but they thought they fired him, but he's still there.
Right. There's a glitch in the system. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's got her stapler
mm-hmm.
down in the basement. Anyway.
So I just want to give her a hug. I really do. I feel like her daughter's grown. It's not like she has, she's not staying for the kid. So
yeah. Can you tote it, but you just need an egg? Or maybe you have all the eggs. Do you even know what your ovarian reserve is? Did you know that 1 out of 6 couples struggle with infertility? Seriously, that's a staggering statistic that most people don't know or aren't ready to talk about. But we need good data and information about our bodies in order to have informed conversations with our doctors and make the best decisions for ourselves and our futures. What if I told you that you could get important fertility insight without going to the doctor or even leaving home? The traditional guidance with fertility has been just wait and see. I know, I've been through it myself. There's got to be a better way. But now we have tools to help us plan for and track everything in our lives. Wellness, finances, careers, school. Why is fertility still just wait and see? That's why Modern Fertility was created. It's an easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home with a simple finger prick. Mail it in with a prepaid label and you'll get your personalized results within 10 days. You'll get insight into your hormone levels, your ovarian reserve, aka how many eggs you have compared to other women your age. Like, can you tote your own egg or do you need somebody else's egg? And other really important fertility factors. The results go deep into what every hormone means, and you can also download the results to review with your doctor for the next steps. Traditional testing can cost over $1,000, but Modern Fertility gets you the same information at a fraction of the price. If you go to modernfertility.com/fraudcast, you can get $20 off your test. Also, if you have an HSA or FSA, you can put those dollars towards Modern Fertility, which is great. If you want kids today or maybe one day in the future, clinically sound information about your body now can help you make the right decision that's right for you. Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/fraudcast. That means your test will cost $179 instead of the hundreds or thousands it could cost at a doctor's office. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/fraudcast. That's modernfertility.com/fraudcast. Did you know that 30 million women are impacted by weakened or thinning hair? If you're among them, know that you're not alone and that there is a solution that you can trust to deliver results. Millions of Americans experience thinning hair. It's more than common. It's actually normal, but it's not openly talked about, especially among us women. Going through it can feel lonely and frustrating, but it's time to change that conversation and join the thousands of women who are already standing up for their strands with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through whole body health. Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women through all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. Over 3,000 top doctors and stylists have recommended Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code FRAUD to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FRAUD. I think her daughter, I think Mariah, is now identifying as non-binary.
Oh, is she?
I think it was either non-binary or as trans male. I can't remember which one. because
Okay.
that news came out at the same time something else. So I just want to clarify that we're not intentionally trying to misgender.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, I think I didn't. Yeah, I know there was something out there. We're not intentionally trying to misgender the child. We're just anyway.
Okay.
But that is out there as far.
Well, I'm glad
they got married. They got married, and then I think their partner came out as either trans or non-binary, and now Mariah then did that as well. So they're I think that's why I can't remember if it's non-binary or trans male, because there's two of them that came out at the same time.
Gotcha.
Anyway, you see
Well,
what I'm
I
saying?
hope they're happy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They seemed great together, and and so anyway, that is another child that I would love to hear from. So then we go, okay, so back to this episode. So then we go to Christine basically saying she can't get out and move on fast enough. And she says that she's like, got to wait until like September or something when Truly, or not Truly, Isabel leaves, and they're trying to make sure all that's in place, and then she and Truly will leave and go to Utah, and basically it cannot come fast enough for her. And she says that like she says the words out loud. Then Cody's like, well, I bet she was like, she hasn't told her sister wives that she's doing this, but I bet she's told her kids. And he's like all snotty about it, like, oh my God, here's more reason why she hates Robin. Look, proof. She tells her kids, but she didn't tell her sister wives.
Well, she sees her kids and talks to them probably every single day, and she talks to him one every 4 days, 3.
Right.
I don't know.
If that.
Hell, what does he expect? This guy. I'm getting fired up. I've been slowly getting really fired up about.
Yeah, I want to hear fired up, Lexi.
Ooh, I'm trying to be good.
Don't be good. We don't like good. So then, of course, okay, so then we go to a Zoom meeting. Of course, Cody's at Robin's. And like Janelle is in North Carolina, and who knows where anybody else is. Mary's calling in from the basement with her stapler. Cody says she is trying to run our meeting, getting all independent women, and doesn't have to submit to the group anymore, like the way she's acting. He's talking about Christine here.
I wrote that down on my notes. Yes. She's an independent woman and taking charge of the meeting.
And how dare she not submit to the group of wives?
And then didn't she say, like, I didn't sign up for this to be submissive, or to live in like a
patriarchy? Yeah, they talk about the patriarchy.
Exactly.
I think that's at the next episode.
Oh, whoops! I'm getting ahead. I'm so excited.
Well, the patriarchy conversation is a whole separate digression that we're going to have to go into more deeply. So let's save that. Let's talk about this one. So we don't get quite the big stuff yet. So Janelle was calling in from North Carolina, which again is far away from Cody as she can get. He basically told her, you can choose, you can go hang out with your kids or you can hang out with me. And she's like, peace, motherfucker. She's like, deuces. And then, so this is this thing is interesting because I did not know this, and maybe I just didn't see the seasons, or maybe I didn't remember it, and maybe you can help clarify. But then we talk about how McKelty who is Christine's daughter, about to have the baby, had invited Robin to come for the birth. Now, the backstory on this is before Robin was married to Cody, McKelty went to live with Robin. Now, I think that was a new piece of information.
I did not see that from my memory. I feel like I would have remembered that.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember hearing
this came out of like I know there have been other instances in which some of the kids have gone to live with other mothers during those like teenage years, right?
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, teenage girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their mothers. I mean, I was one. I get that. So I know that there was some of that happening. What I didn't realize was that McKelty was one of them before Robin got married to Cody. So that opens up this whole window to me about when exactly did Robin come in to the family? How did they meet? Do I need to rewatch season 1 and hear their story again?
How did they met Mary, I believe.
Is that because they were all married to the same family or some shit. No, that
I
was
think Mary, it was like the same church that Mary went, or the same area Mary grew up in, or something like that. There was a connection to Mary.
There's the commune compound of thing that she lived in, right? Okay, so that kind of makes sense then. But it's weird that McKelty is going to live with Robin before Robin marries the family, because their courtship was pretty short, right? Like,
that's what they said on I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't believe everything.
Isn't it weird though?
And then they were upset that he kissed her when he asked her to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
because they saved that for the wedding, the kissing. They have to do the side hugs and stuff,
right?
Like Duggar style.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there's that. I want more information on that. Again, more reason to have like the kids like do completely uncensored tell-all books. So McKelty invited Robin for the birth. So Robin's trying to figure out if she can do it. The thing that she doesn't say was basically like, can she go do this, still be loyal to Cody and still follow Cody's rules,
Right.
And then we could talk about school, kids going back to school. And I guess this was spring of 2021. Because I remember having these same discussions with my kids, right? Where some of the schools were starting to reopen and some of them weren't, but then some of them that were reopening, like you had a choice whether you could go back in person or do online. And I know with Baby Frauded school, at the time, like they kept pushing that date of like the integration, like they kept pushing that. And originally Baby Frauded was going to go back to school in person. And then he, sort of figured out that like the classes he had and his friends and when he was going to see them, and like there wasn't really any need or desire to go back. He was a junior that year, so not the senior year things that like they're talking about with Isabel, because she's a senior and she wants to be with her friends and all that stuff. So he ended up staying home and doing it all online. But they're having these conversations, so with them and their kids, right? So Cody wants everybody to keep doing online school because that he purportedly then could see all of his children, right? If they're not going to school, they're following his rules theoretically, right? And he could see them because that would be following his quote unquote rules, right? But Isabel wants to go back to school in person because she's a senior and wants to see her friends, and then she knows she's going to be moving after the rest of, this is the end of her senior year. She knows she's going to be moving to North Carolina. She wants to go see her kid, see her friends. But that would mean Cody can't come over because of Cody's rules, right? Mm-hmm. So this opens up a whole, another view of the COVID rules that Cody was talking about, has been talking about forever. And it makes it seem like, he's just manipulating however he wants to do the COVID rules to maximize his ability to be wherever he wants to be without having to like he wants an excuse to not go see his other kids so he can just stay at Robin's, right?
Right. And I think you said maybe spring of 2021. I'm wondering if it wasn't filmed like this past spring, because that would have been about 6 months ago, like March.
Yeah, but no, they like actually say the dates because they were talking about it being spring break.
Gotcha.
So, and I think they actually talked about I thought, because I think it's more than 6 months, because I remember them showing dates and stuff. And I was like, it was, you have to remember this was back in I think we saw their COVID journey, like them learning about COVID and it becoming a thing like a year after. Gotcha. It actually happened in real life. So I think they're a year behind, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Because I was like, there's a huge difference between like last spring and then more recent, like the numbers, data, things like that. So if it was, a year ago, a year and 6 months ago, I can understand more. And I know like the more recent data with the new variants is like a whole nother issue.
Right.
So like when Janelle made the point of like, okay, well, when is it enough? Like what numbers, what statistics is it enough for you to just go back to somewhat normal to life? And I thought that was a good point, because it's like, okay, you're not seeing your kids because they're going to school. Okay, that's on you. But again, you're not making any sort of effort to reach out. You're not doing all
And
of
then,
it.
yeah, they didn't. They were like, you could come see in the backyard. And he's
But it
like,
was
but
snowing.
it's snowing.
It's snowing. I was like, I wanted to pull my hair out. I was just like, is this real life?
It's snowing. I died. He's like, it just started snowing since the start of this conversation. Like, it wasn't before. Now it is. And oh my God, it might snow, so I can't go see my kid. And that's
Like,
what Janelle, like you're talking about, is like, at what point do you? I mean, there's a balance that needs to happen. Yes,
right.
be safe. And I get that as well as anybody, because of, being immune compromised, right? Like, I get that. And I'm not just saying, well, everything has to go back to normal at some point, because I mean, it does, but that doesn't mean I'm going to intentionally put myself at risk.
Right.
But there are ways to safely do things. What they know about things now, and all the variant of, boosters, and all of the things that we know about the disease now, like, or the virus, I guess, I don't know, I call it a disease, whatever it is. That, I mean, what we know about it, there's a balance. You can balance being able to, I go to doctor's appointments now that I wouldn't have gone to in the first months of COVID, I mean, we've learned how to work around it. I wear masks. We do these things. You can wear masks. You can see your kids in the backyard. You can sit in a room together if and he just keeps making excuses like, it's fucking snowing.
Right. Well, even the COVID test, he put that on, I don't know if that's, he put it on Christine. Like, no, you want to see your daughter. This is your safe, like what you feel is safe. And everybody has their own level of where they feel safe comfort. And what they're want to do. And that's fine. But as you're, as a father, and per your protocols and your standards, then you should be the one making sure she gets tested and that things go on. I mean, that's just, it broke my heart.
It really totally, this whole thing. So yeah, what you just led into, right? So Janelle's talking about, like, Cody's doing all these mental gymnastics to justify why he's not seeing his kids, all blah, 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 blah. And then he, of course, has the nerve. He's like, they're getting this snotty little attitude about the rules. This is how he's referring to his kids. Now, granted, we all know kids can be snotty little attitudes, right? But come on now. And then, so yeah, this testing, right? So Christine, so they're saying, like, what is it? Part of the rules is, like, if they were to get tested and showed negative, then they could hang out together with Cody, right? Mm-hmm. Then Cody wouldn't get it and wouldn't risk spreading it to Queen Robin and her kids, right? And so this divide between them is, Christine is like, she's 17. She can schedule her own test. It's online. She just schedule it. She can do it. And Cody is like, this is what I mean. Christine used to do that. She used to schedule the things. Well, yeah, before she's 17, of course you would schedule the things. But when you're a certain age, you could schedule your own. I don't schedule my kids' things anymore. He's off at college. Go. And that the dad, Cody as the father, needs to reach out and tell them when he's coming over so they will go get tested. They're not going to test every day on the off chance he may want to come over there. Exactly. And see them, because he hasn't thus far. Why would he now? So they're not just going to keep themselves testing every single day. It's like, get out of here with that bullshit, right? And so this whole conversation about, is he, oh God, okay. So they talk about Robin's kids and how Cody basically told them that he didn't want them to go back to school in person. He wants them to stay home so he can see them, right? And he didn't ask that of Isabel, right? And Christine, breaking my heart, saying, I wish he would ask her. She wishes he would care enough to want to see her.
Yep.
And again, it's not your fault. Like, she's making the choice, and then to like, oh.
And then of course Cody's excuse was like, well, Isabel's a senior. I know she is social and wants to see her. Brienne's young, and I think they're saying Brienne, right? Brienne's young, and she's more willing to stay at home, and she doesn't have a social life. Well, of course she doesn't have a social life. She's been in the house for 2 years, locked down. Like, of course she doesn't have a social life. But it was just sad that he didn't even ask Isabel,
Yeah.
I do get both sides in a way, but
yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons on each, and you saw
Right.
that, the talking heads vary. Everybody varies about this stuff, and we're not getting into any of the politics or any of that stuff about what you should or shouldn't
Right.
do in this situation. But the point is that he's putting all the blame on Izzy as well. She decided to go back to school, so it's her fault, not his fault for not trying to make an effort. If he understands why she wants to go back to school, then he needs to work around that and figure out how to see her if he truly wants to see her.
Right. I mean, the girl had surgery and he wasn't there. Like, now, I mean, my heart breaks for them. I really, it just.
Yeah. So yeah, he again, he says he asks Robin's kids not to go to school, but I think he told them,
I agree.
This is, and then obviously this whole thing, this divide just makes it even more clear that he only loves Robin and Robin's kids and only wants to be with them, because he even talks about this. He says when it comes to the smaller kids, Cody wants to make an effort, but he doesn't want to do that with the older kids. It's all on them, and also move the fuck out. And all the wives.
You can make the kids. You can make them. You can semi-raise them, because let's be honest, the women really did most of the work.
And
I feel like. Yeah. But then you're going to kick them out, and that's it.
You don't want any contact with them after age 7? Like, is there a cutoff, like, for you on when you're done washing your hands of, like, I'm not babysitting my kids anymore? I think
it's like the minute they can critically think and go against.
And can challenge King Cody.
Right. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So Robin's kids are still young. They're still, he can still control them, influence them. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the future with where their heads are at with the whole situation when they're adults.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
And if they go like the Garrison way and tell them to fuck off, why are you being so mean to my mom and my siblings? Yeah. So then let's see. Then Cody's talking about how it's so unfair to him. It's so unfair to me, and this is more than just about Christine, and she needs to not be so selfish. Y'all, I wish you could see my face.
I can see it. Yep.
And then he says that the older kids don't need him the way the younger kids do. Which is true. Admittedly, my kids' need for me is different than Kaya's needs from you, right? They're 18 years apart. Like, it's going to be different. And he even says this, and Truly still acts like she likes him. So she's like that borderline age. She's about to be that age. Truly is, and so I think he's worried that he's about to lose her, because she's going to. Mom's taking her to Utah.
Yeah.
And now he's losing that one of those last, right? So the older kids, because like when they get older and wiser and they learn what a pretentious self-serving douche canoe he is, they don't want anything to do with him. And Truly's like on that borderline right now. And still kind of likes him. So he likes having her around, sort of, when he wants to see her on occasion.
When it's convenient.
Yeah. But then the other wives, all on their little individual couch things, all have the truth bombs that no, all the kids need them, no matter what their age. And it's his responsibility to do this. Robin is interesting here because she's like, I don't want to criticize Cody, but ... long pause, right? Long pause, big heavy sigh. She's like, I disagree and think the kids need him. That's as far as she's willing to go to challenge what he's saying.
Yeah. And did she actually say that to him, or is she just saying it?
She said it on the couch.
Yeah.
I don't know that she said it to him. She said it on the couch to the producers. Janelle's like, peace out. I don't fucking care anymore. She's like, everyone's going to do what everyone wants to do, regardless of whatever, anything else. So I'm just going to do what I want to fucking do and fuck everybody else. She didn't care.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the minute they moved out of that big house that they had together, things change. Obviously, they're not as close. They're not really a community when you're living in completely separate houses and he's spending his time running around. I mean, how are sister wives if you're not really
This is what I've
fair.
been saying for years. So they've been talking when they moved to Arizona, right? They had talked a lot about how when they moved to Arizona, like the family sort of scattered and they didn't have the closeness that they had in Vegas or at the Utah house. Vegas, they were all together in their own little cul-de-sac corner, which I thought was great, right? And then this came up in the context of when they were Cody was trying to present his grand plans about this one great big house that everybody lives in, and Christine's like, fuck, no way. And at the time, and at the time I was like, well, if you're all sister wives, like you really have your own place. You're not going to be the basement wife again. But now, knowing what we know now, it makes more sense. I'm like, if you don't want to live with all of these other people, then you don't want to be in this marriage. You need to peace out. Well, now we find out that is in fact what you want. But like, so in that context, like, yeah, when they went to Arizona, the family, they all started living separately, right? And you know, that's why I was asking you. I think maybe it was our last episode where, you know, the dysfunction, did it start creeping up later, or does it, I mean, there's always some sort of dysfunction, but like, did it get worse when moved to Arizona versus being in Vegas? Like, if everybody loved Vegas so much, why'd they leave Vegas? You know, because the mountain, the glorious mountain.
Maybe the dysfunction just changed. Maybe it didn't get better or worse. It just changed in how it was. Yeah,
it's moving to a different state. In AA, we call those geographics, because it's like you always try to like reinvent yourself. You try to move, but no matter what, like you're the problem, right? The problem lies inside with me. It's going to be there no matter what state I'm in, right? We call those geographics. And so I feel like that's the same thing with them. Like their dysfunction just changed because it's the dysfunction was with them, not with where they were living.
Yeah.
I remember yelling at the screen like during that season where they kept having these talks about this, about why are we so separated? Why are we so separated? Maybe if we all live together, maybe da, 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 da. And yeah, maybe because Cody's a douchebag and now we know like all of the skeletons are coming out. So anyway.
Yeah. I remember Christine saying something about like Cody wouldn't tuck in the kids when they were even under the same roof.
Right. Because so that was Hannah Collin and I talked about that on the other episode, was because she would be home all day with the kids, because she also took care of Janelle's kids, because Janelle was like, from day one, has always been like working all the time. So Christine took care of all those kids. And then at night, she would go to work. And she asked him, and they lived in the same fucking house. So it wasn't like he would have to drive across town to go tuck the kids in. He literally had to walk downstairs because she was the basement wife, right? He literally had to walk downstairs, tuck in his own goddamn kids.
That angered me too. A lot of this show is so triggering. I'm just so like,
triggering.
Yes.
And I imagine a lot of people.
Yes.
You know, and all these things are being said out loud that we've been just yelling at the TV for years that we all suspected was happening. But, you know, they never outright said this. We're like, how can they really be happy in this? And now we learn it's adequate.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I told you earlier, I was rooting for them. I was rooting for them early on. I'm like, you know what? This is not a normal situation, but to each his own. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of, you know, I mean, some people grow up without another parent, you know, like
right. And you have all these parents. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, wow, like so much love. And I wanted to believe it. I really, really was rooting for it. So it's kind of the opposite in a way. Yeah. Unfortunately.
So, yeah. So switching gears, speaking of sad, then we go to Mary driving to see her mom because her mom had a heart attack and strokes and stuff. And along that drive, she finds out as she's driving home, the 5 hours it takes her to get to her mom, she learned from her sister that her mom had passed while she was trying to drive there. So, I mean, obviously nothing's snark worthy about that. But what was interesting about this part is, so this is all heartbreaking and everything. And she talks about her mom's plural marriage and how there were breakups there within her mom's plural family, and how her mom had said that she wanted to grow old with her sister wives and that she didn't get that. And that to me gave like a lot of insight actually into maybe why Mary is staying. You know, if she comes from this like place of that's the goal, is like she doesn't want to be the one to break up the family. If the goal is for the sister wives to grow old together, regardless of the husband or whatever, because that's what it's supposed to be about, right?
Maybe. And Mary, the thing is though, she's close to Robin, but not close to Janelle and Christine, I don't think, from what I remember.
The divisions.
Right. And it's so I feel like they tried to be close to Mary and she tried to be close to them, but it never, I don't know. I feel like Mary distanced herself from a lot of people except for Robin and her kids. So if that's her goal, it's not really, I don't see how it's really working out for her if she's not. And isn't she living at the inn that she bought? Or is she living?
She's back to living on her gigantic house in Flagstaff by herself.
Okay.
But so she went to the inn.
That's another thing. Why does she have a huge house?
Like, well, do you remember the season when they were moving to Vegas and building the houses? And she was all like, and she wanted this, and she had to get the French door. She had to get the extended breakfast bar, and how it was. And okay, so I understand the point that they are saying, like, it should be equal there shouldn't be a favorite wife. Things should be equal, but equal what? Like, you've got one wife who has 7 kids, one wife who has 1 kid. You don't need as much space. Like, why are you going to pay, $4,000 mortgage on a house that you don't need that much? Plus,
who wants that much space with one child? Like, who wants to clean that?
Like, I want more space, but
I don't know. This situation is just
yeah. But this season is giving me a lot of interesting going back and looking at past seasons while like all these questions were, why did they do that? That doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff now is like, giving insight. Sorry, MS. It's okay. You haven't recorded with me enough to be able to pick up my MS brain sentences yet.
Oh,
Hanakawa got used to it, and she understood. Like hetero life mate, my husband and stuff. Like they know. Even like my supervisor, a lot of times at work will do it now. She knows when I'm like all of a sudden searching for a word. Which is, as a lawyer.
I was trying to like read your brain and try to get the word for you, but I wasn't.
You weren't there. You'll get there. It's fine. So I don't know. I thought I gave some interesting insight. And then we talk about, Janelle talks about how the faith and culture really revere matriarchs. And they're all talking about what a sad loss this is for them all. And absolutely, I'm not shitting on any of that, right? Because like all of that, they all had their relationships with Mary's mother, and it's all very sad, and there's nothing to shit on over that. But Cody's talking about Janelle's talking about how this is like the culture reveres matriarchs, which like if she believes that, no, like not in Cody's family. It's all about let's revere King Cody,
right? Maybe the women know. I mean, the women realize that the women are the ones who do all the work. Mm-hmm. Cody maybe runs around, but
the sister wives like, oh, I want to grow old with my sister wives because I'm not going to have my husband around because he's off banging how many other wives, who knows? So I need to have a relationship with my sister wives, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you got. You got to have something to fill it in. I mean, right?
And the thing is too, like I look at like my life again with Kaya being a single mom, and I have to take care of her, I have to feed her, and then I watch Sister Wives, and they individually are living their own separate lives where they're providing for their own children, and they're working. Most of them are still working. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing everything. So it's not like to me, it's not a marriage, it's not a partnership. It's the women doing most of it, and Cody running around, with all of his crazy energy, just like trying to figure things out. I mean, I'm not saying
running around, not raising his kids, not babysitting his kids.
And I'm not putting him down for like when I say running around, like I'm not saying
providing for his family.
Right. I'm not saying he's not doing anything. He's lazy. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that he has left the women to basically take care of his individual families. I mean, that's the truth, and they're doing the brunt of the work.
Right. And the difference between when they lived in the Utah house versus living in Arizona, and the kids, a lot of other Robin has the little kids because she was the newer wife, and then just started popping out the kids, right? Christine and Janelle, their kids are older. Truly's the youngest one at this point, and she's what, like, how old is she? I don't even know how old Truly is.
She looks like she's probably 10 maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10, 11, something like that. And they've acknowledged that. They said it was different when the kids were little, and Christine watched all the kids. They helped each other because their kids were all the same age, and that shows their closeness and things like that. And like we were talking about with Isabel wanting to go move with Maddie. I was like, McKelty. No, that's the kids' names.
I need a flow chart. I need like some sort of.
Yeah, I'm sure there is one. But like, because they're from, two different parents, right? Or two different moms, but they're really close. All those kids, Janelle and Christine's kids all grew up together. Christine raised them together basically. And then Janelle came home from work, and then they all did their happy thing while Cody was off doing, I don't know what, courting Robin probably at that point.
Hiding in the closet.
Having a special private alone time in the closet. Which again, in my house is code for, wanking at time, but I don't know.
How about we heat things up tonight?
How so?
Get a little fresh, add some steam, sizzle, and spice.
Wait, you're talking about going to Outback again, aren't you? Fire things up at Outback Steakhouse. For a limited time, try our bloomin' fried shrimp, or get fresh with our new strawberry salad. Go big with our bone-in ribeye, or the filet and grilled shrimp on the barbie. Then cool off with a cucumber crush or peanut koala. Try them all before they're gone. Let's Outback.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts specializes in keeping your car on the road. Not sure how much life is left in your battery? Our professional parts people will test it for free. If it does need to be replaced, we'll help you find just the right one to fit your car. Our Superstart batteries are built to handle even the toughest conditions. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Then we go back to McKelty's house. She and her husband, Sasquatch, Tony, we're about to have a baby. And then we have this whole discussion about home births versus hospital births, and, the split amongst the wives and all of this stuff. And which actually led to an interesting discussion with my girlfriends and I that were watching this. We're like, what is the thing with home births, right? And I'm not trying to. I don't want to like disparage here as far as like if you choose a home birth or if you choose a hospital birth. I'm not going into that at all. That is all your own choice. That is so much all your own choice. But I would also be interested to hear maybe if you know any, some sort of a medical sort of background or whatever. But like, I know home births were really common in, amongst like the Fundy Mormon Fundy, the Fundy groups, right? Like, and I know that there was some back in the day, and even places like Yearning for Zion Ranch and on the Warren Jeffs and all of that stuff, that there's, they don't necessarily put the fathers on the birth certificate and all this stuff because they're doing all this welfare stuff, right? Like, it's how they work. Cheat the system, work the system, whatever terms you want to use, because they're probably a mix of all of it. That's actually how they get some of them sometimes. That's like how they got to some of the Jeff's people, I think, was through welfare and tax fraud type stuff. So I was wondering if it like stemmed from that, like this desire to have home births because you don't have a nosy doctor asking who the father is. Are you the father? Are you going to sign the birth certificate? Like, what do you think about all that stuff?
I think that that's exactly where it stemmed from. I don't know now. I don't know, like Janelle, Christine's I'm assuming their mothers did home births as well.
I think so.
It seems so normal for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think that it does stem from okay, wait, this is the same guy coming in with a different woman and They didn't want any red flags going up. Like, okay, is this guy leading a polygamous lifestyle? What's going on? At least in Utah. I mean, I know like in my field, a lot of my colleagues and my friends, I know a few that have chosen home births, and that's just because I'm in that like more of a natural medicine.
Right, because you do, Oriental medicine, yeah.
Right. I mean, I had a C-section, so give me the drugs. I was like, let me get
I
epidural. But I know that, like, in the United States, and don't quote me on the actual statistics, but we don't have a great birthing rate safety for mother and children. So and we're like a first world country, so that's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, where does that, and that leads into the whole controversy of where does that come from? Is that the hospital interventions and all this stuff? And that's why I said I don't want to go into those choices.
Yeah,
those are your personal choices.
Right. But besides my acupuncture friends, most of my friends had hospital births. So, I think you're right. I think it just stems from the culture that they've grown up in and the systems of, making sure that the man isn't seen with multiple women, multiple families.
Because it was illegal. The polygamy was illegal and stuff. So it's like, that's just the culture they grew up in. That's what I'm
wondering if he is on the birth. I'm just curious now that you said that, because she's talking about taking Truly to Utah, and what rights does he have? I mean, of course I'd want him to have rights. He's the father, but what rights legally does he have if
if she decided to play dirty? Like would there, it's interesting because Hannah Call and I asked that exact same question when we were discussing episode 1, right? Like, is he, and our quick Googling showed that a lot of times, generally, and we don't know specifically with Cody and the Brown kids, but we know that he had to marry Robin legally so he could legally adopt her kids. But I wonder about his name on the birth certificate, and just what we found was generally that that culturally they didn't put the name on, because depending on your state's requirements for welfare benefits and stuff, if you have the husband listed, if you have a father listed for the kid, then that person should be providing child support. If you show that you don't have that support, you're eligible for more, right? So we figured that might be there, but we don't know for sure anything about Cody specifically. And if you guys do, listeners, like, please write us, let us know, hit us up.
I'm curious. I spent a lot of time with my family law attorney, so I've learned a lot about family law. I know it varies by state, and I know
you're going through it right now.
Oh, right. So I'm curious to know, because I mean, if anything happens and he's not on the birth certificate, that's a shame. I mean, it would be a struggle in the courts in general. I mean, it's obvious he's the father, and that DNA would prove that, but I'm just saying it's just another step,
Right.
That is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. All the secret shenanigans behind the scenes about why they do these kinds of things, to avoid detection and to, suck off the government's social benefits and social welfare stuff, whatever. Hey, that stuff's out there. Go for whatever. I'm not going to comment on that.
Like, power to those women do with the home births, because let me tell you, that's good for them. I mean, good for them that they can do that, because I'm weak. I can't nope, pain. Give me the epidural.
I was like, yeah. And I was in labor for like several days with like back labor, because my kid was coming out face first.
Oh.
Yeah, he was sunny side up and face presentation. So like checked me, she felt his nose. Like, so I had to have a C-section at that point. There's no option. But I'd been in labor for several days trying to labor this kid through my pelvis. That was not going to happen. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I get what they're saying though about the recovery at home versus recovery in a hospital. Obviously, we couldn't have recovered from surgery, because we couldn't get up and we had catheters and all that nonsense.
Right.
I mean, obviously, that's a different scenario. But if you're doing a vaginal birth, recovering at home, I can see why that recovery would be much more of an attractive option. You're curling up in your bed with your baby. That's all you really kind of want to do. You
don't have a nurse waking you up every 15 minutes.
To take your vitals and to check this. Yeah, exactly.
Sleep and roll.
You're just there with the baby, and it's just, you're in your own surroundings with your own stuff and your own, I can totally see the appeal of that. That said, I personally would not choose that because I'm just like, oh, I'm terrified of all that stuff. You do you. I know this girl who she had home births, I think, with all 4 of her kids, or maybe just the last one. I don't remember, but her husband was in medical school and he's actually an OBGYN. I think he was doing his residency when she had her last kid. And she did a home birth because she wanted all that. I mean, she happened to have an OBGYN as a husband, but that wasn't
Right.
like she would have had the home birth anyway. Right. Like she's obviously very understands medicine and appreciates the value of an OBGYN, but she wanted a home birth, so that's what she did. And, everybody's happy and healthy and that's all good. We are not passing judgment, at least on that. I will pass judgment on these folks though. So we go back. We're back in McKelty and Sasquatch's house, and Christine. They show Christine talking about facilitating Robin being on the phone, and then being on Zoom with her, because McKelty wanted Robin there because of their special relationship. Which again, I want to know more about this. I think that's really cool. I like the cross pollination of the kids and the moms. I think that's great. And then her being on the Zoom call or whatever, like allows her to be present without actually going and like betraying Cody, being disloyal to Cody by indulging Christine or something. I don't know, but
or there's COVID rules. She couldn't, who knows?
She would, yeah, exactly. And Robin's not going to disobey King Cody, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So, they have the baby. Aurora's great and perfect, and now we have a new grandbaby, and that is the end of that episode.
I teared up when I saw the baby.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Cool to watch. I still don't understand Tony, like who he is as a person, what he is. I don't know I don't get Tony. I don't understand him. But Christine said that, he seemed to immediately take to fatherhood, and that's always good to hear. So, they all seem happy and healthy, and that is good. And then, I think we see preview for episode 4, the next one, which, they talk about custody and 50-50 and all this stuff, which we are going to discuss episode 4, but you're going to have to wait for that episode. We got to get these ones out first, but we will get to that one. So those are the previews that we see for the next episode. Now, episode 4 is the one that premiered on October 2nd, Sunday, October 2nd. So just to keep track of when you're listening to this episode and where we're at with it. But we are going to have everything caught up. And I don't know about you guys, but I personally have loved having Lexi join me on this. So I want to have her back for more episodes. So and we don't know how long Hannah Call is going to be down for the count for now, but I
hope she feels better.
Yeah. Sending our love to her, but in the meantime, we have Lexi, and then maybe I'll force Lexi to do some because I know you watch other trash shows.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind on my trash TV because I'm finishing up my doctorate, but
tell us what you're watching now. Tell us what stuff you're watching.
Really, I just finished Big Brother. That's I say every year I'm not going to watch that ever again.
I watched that like the first couple of seasons and I really loved it. And now I'm afraid to try to watch it because I'm like, it's going to change so much from
it's bad now.
It's not even going to be any fun.
Yeah, no. And then I've been watching like baking competitions for Halloween. I'm kind of boring. So I'll let you know when I watch some more trash TV.
Well, so I started watching Survivor.
Okay.
And which I haven't watched in years. But I started watching that, and then I also started watching Amazing Race to see if I used to watch that one too. Back in the day, I used to watch this stuff because we didn't have all these streaming services, and we didn't have where I could just sit down and go to any app and watch any Murder Kill or documentary or anything, right? Like you had to watch network TV. Like that was all you had because I'm an old, right? I'm about to turn 48 next week. Next week?
Oh,
Is
really?
my birthday already?
Happy early birthday. What are
I
you,
always
Scorpio?
forget, honestly. So my birthday and my sobriety date are like 3 days apart. My birthday is October 14th and my sobriety date is October 17th. So, and then Hetero Life Mate's birthday is October 20th. So that week is always a big week for us. We just sort of consolidate it all and we have like a good, nice big October week. And so sometimes I forget my actual age because my sobriety day is more important to me than necessarily my birthday.
Well, congrats on your
so that's what I
sobriety.
celebrate. Thank you. I'm about to celebrate 7 years,
Yay.
which is insane to me. But in any case, I am old. And so when I grew up and, we didn't have all these streaming services. You had to, not even when I grew up, when I was like in college and post-college, post grad and all this stuff, because this stuff is all this internet and streaming and stuff is all new, probably in the last, 5-10 years?
Yeah. I mean, I'm 37. I didn't grow up with any of the fun streaming stuff either. So,
yeah. So like you had to watch network TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I watched, and if you wanted to watch a show, you had to like put a VHS tape in and record the show. So you could come back and watch it after whatever event you were doing. You didn't have the DVRs and you didn't have the opportunity to just watch on demand. I know, the olden days.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Amazing Race and Survivor back then because those were the big thing. Like Survivor, the first season it came on, and Amazing Race, I watched it and stuff. So I have recently I just got back into those. So I started watching those. I still watch them on demand. I'm loving Survivor. Survivor's been really good. So if you guys are Survivor type people, I am liking the season so far. Amazing Race, the jury's still out for me because it's still in those first couple of episodes where like you can't decide if these couples are annoying or endearing or whatever. And so I'm kind of just figuring that out. I don't know, but I love watching the travel going all these places that I'm not going. And seeing all these countries and everything. And those are always fun. And of course you have to sit there when you watch it and be like, okay, would I do this? Would you do that? Would you, as if you're with whoever you're watching with, your partner or your friend, whatever. So I've been doing that. I've also been really into 60 Days In. If any of you guys are watching that's on A&E. It's on Thursdays. And then right after that is Inmate to Roommate, which I've been watching, which
Inmate to Roommate.
Yeah. It's these people getting out of jail. It's like, and here's the thing, it's on A&E, but it's a Matt Sharp, which is 90 Day Love After Lockup, all these people, right? So it's these people are in jail, like getting out, and they're not going on to like a relationship, but they're going to live with these people. They all know that all those situations are different. Somebody, is a friend of a friend or a cousin or a whatever, like how they know the person. They call them returning citizen instead of an inmate. They call them returning citizen, which I like better because, I like to, advocate for my women in jail and things like that. Returning citizen and, the roommate people or whatever, whoever house and stuff. And all of the situations are so whacked and so weird. And I know some of you guys are watching this. I posted some on Instagram about the couple, Mark and Sharna, and their inmate returning citizen bill and all the rules they have for him to follow. They're Seventh-day Adventist and he can't watch R-rated movies and he has to tithe to the church that he doesn't belong to and can't eat meat. And he keeps his like pepperoni sandwiches on his air conditioning vent in his bathroom because he can't have meat in their fridge. Like this is wackadoodle stuff, guys. Those are both on Thursday nights, 60 Days In, followed by Inmate to Roommate, A&E. I think they're part of the Discovery Network. I think those get uploaded. They get on Discovery Plus app if you have that, but I don't know the timing sequence. I don't think they're early on Sundays the way like the 90-day episodes are. I think they get uploaded later or something. I'm not entirely sure, but those are what I'm watching there. I'm also. Have you started Dahmer? Have you watched that?
Yes, I started 2 episodes and I fell asleep. I have to get back on it.
The Netflix creepy one.
Yeah.
Right. I started watching it and it was so intense and dark. And I was like, holy shit, I need to be in a better mindset for this. So,
and that's kind of what I fell asleep. I was like, okay, you got to get, like, you have to be in the zone. Oh, my dog is growling. I don't know if you can hear him. Well, that actor is so good. Evan, he's amazing. I mean, it's like I'm really watching it unfold. It's crazy.
what I think is, I mean, apparently, so when what I saw of this is it is extremely creepily done and intense. And what I think is hilarious is all these people that didn't realize that Jeffrey Dahmer had eaten his victims. I mean, I'm, a murder, kill girl. Like that's serial killers are my jam, right? And and you guys will listen to me forever know this. So obviously I knew about Jeffrey Dahmer, and like he's such a, everybody knows Jeffrey. I'm tired of the Jeffrey Dahmer stories. I don't want to watch another one. And everyone's like, oh my God, he ate people. It's so creepy. It's like, yeah, the fuck it's creepy. He ate people. You don't want to know about what other things he did and holes he drilled and places he put his penis. Like the guy's creepy.
Yeah.
But I do want to see that at some point. I need to be, like you said, in the right mindset for it. You okay?
Sorry. Charlie's he's wanting my attention.
Oh, well, we're about wrapping up anyway. So if you have any other recommendations or anything for us to watch, hit us up, comment below on Instagram, or send us a DM on Instagram. You can also email me at fraudedbytlc@gmail.com. And and we will be back at you with episode 4. Thank you for tuning in, you guys. Bye.